Hi, Dylan. It's really great to be here with you today.
Thanks for having me. Is this your normal office?
Oh, absolutely.
It is
I am
beautiful
definitely
up
on the
here.
top floor.
I'm loving it. Very nice.
So we're going to have a little chat today about, disability inclusion, particularly from that kind of economic perspective. You've often spoken about inclusion being not just morally right, but also economically smart. Can you give me a little bit more detail about that?
Yeah, look, I think in the past, disability was always something that people felt like they had to do, right? To be like socially equitable or as a bit of chore or whatever it is. And what, the disabled community's been trying to change for a while is to change that narrative as something that you have to do to an organization should want to do because it's a good business decision to be inclusive. I've had my disability my whole life. I was born with a tumor wrapped around my spinal cord, and I just can't put into words how much I used to hate myself because I believed the shame story that society told me that having a disability was like the worst thing that can happen to you. There's a long way to go still, but it is getting better because what am I? I'm a consumer, just like you, who banks, who shops, who travels, who wears clothes, who eats, who uses rideshare, whatever it is. And, there are over 1 billion people with some form of disability in the world. In Australia, it's 21% of the population. 5.5 million people have a disability. If you think about the disposable income of all those people around the world, it's like $15 trillion that's getting left on the table, right? So it's about changing that narrative for people and organizations that they should want to invest in accessibility and inclusion of people with disability because it makes it a better business decision for them because it affects their profits, revenues, true bottom lines as well.
100%. We know that the labour market is something where people with disabilities have a really different experience. Only 60% are participating versus 85% for people without disabilities. How do you see inclusive hiring practices influencing those labour market participations and outcomes?
It's a great question. Disability is getting talked about in the mainstream more, which we love, right? There needs to be more voices that are heard. There's only a select few people that get their voices heard, and that sucks. But in saying that, we hear about it more, and that participation rate that you talked about, that hasn't changed in 31 years, and I'm 34. So my whole life. And I think there is still this unconscious bias or lack of expectation or lack of opportunity that we're getting. And that glass ceiling really eliminates us from participation in the workforce if we so choose. In saying that, not everyone with disability can work because of their disability, right? Your worth is not tied to the fact that you have a job, right? But if you want to work, you deserve the opportunity to work.
And one of the barriers we know is that there just isn't that much data out there on that labour market participation in the way that we have with the overall economy. We've got monthly labour force surveys that give everyone a sense of what's happening in that big picture. But for disability, that kind of stratification, it's actually once every 5 years. So we're not even getting that updated data on how well Australia really is going with this stuff.
Yet. And I'm always a big yet guy because, like, what are we doing right now, right? You're a leading economist. These conversations weren't happening. It's about changing that narrative around that it is something that is an investment in your organization so you are a better organization, not just in terms of profitability, but culturally and the social equity you get from it as well. And I'm with you. Like, everyone's like, where's the white papers and the data? It's like, well, there wasn't any 10 years ago because no one cared.
So many people are getting a better understanding of the concept of disability market power. Now, that just means, as you were saying before, there's a lot of people with disabilities. They consume things, they buy things, they're able to participate in the workforce, provide their own perspectives, their skills. But talk us through this concept a little bit more.
Yeah, so it's a really like interesting way to get people to really care about it, especially big organizations and government, because 20% of the world's population have disability. Same in Australia, New Zealand, throughout Asia, whatever it is. 76% of the world's population is touched by disability in some point, whether it's my parents, my brother, you're my friend now, right? You know what I mean? Like, and if an organization is accessible and inclusive of me, you then get the business of everybody that I love and that love me.
So if there was kind of one insight you had across this, and I know we've already gotten a lot of your insights from this conversation, but if there's one insight you could leave our audience with, what would it be?
Just to have a crack
Have a crack.
and to actually, like, if you genuinely care and you genuinely want to get better at this, then do it, right? And you might get it wrong, and that's okay, right? But as long as your heart's in the right place, you're willing to listen, you're willing to learn, um, I would do it, because if you don't, you're going to get left behind. There are millions of people, hundreds of millions of people, billions of people around the world with amazing contributions that could be made and are ready to make them, but they won't be able to do that unless somebody opens the door and provides those opportunities. We really can contribute to organisations, whether it's through employment or as consumers, but we can't if we're not allowed to, right? And the time to do it is now. And as I said, I can't wait to look back in 10 years and think, remember when you and I had that conversation and talked about disability? It's just normal now, right? And I really feel like we're getting there, and yeah, hopefully we can get there soon.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.